So you want to increase your webinar attendance? Well, maybe you should try Facebook Custom Audiences. Hey, it's Ryan Even from RyanEven.com, and this is the first time I'm wearing a baseball cap in a video. How about that? But the real point of this video is to talk about how you can increase your webinar attendance by using Facebook Custom Audiences. So a couple nights ago, I was on my phone on Facebook. Maybe I was in the bathroom, maybe I wasn't. But I came across this. And the cool thing about it is it's a webinar reminder for a webinar that I had previously registered for a few days earlier. And incidentally, I had forgotten that I had registered for it, so it actually was a pretty useful reminder. But I thought this strategy was really interesting. I had never really seen it used before, so big shout out to Nick Unsworth over at Life on Fire. I don't know if he came up with this, but this is the first time I've seen it used. And of course, we've all seen people's ads on Facebook trying to get you to register for a webinar, but this one, if you take a look at it, it is a webinar reminder. So it's for people that are already registered for the webinar. So how is he pulling this off? Well, he's using a Facebook custom audience. And if you don't know what a custom audience is, it's basically a list of people that you upload into Facebook, and you can create just that group of those particular people and promote things and send ads only to that group of people. And by doing it that way, it's actually a lot cheaper typically than advertising to other targets on Facebook, because this is your own group of people and nobody else is advertising most likely to this same specific group. And the easiest way to create custom audiences is by using email addresses. So I have a custom audience for the people on my email list. So in addition to sending an email broadcast to somebody, I can also have an ad show up in their Facebook feed. Same thing for my customers. I have a custom audience made up of just people who have purchased products from me, and that is a very valuable custom audience to me. But what Nick is doing is taking the email addresses of people that registered for his webinar, creating a custom audience, and then sending the webinar reminder advertisement to them through Facebook. And the way to do this is you would download the list of registrants for your webinar, either through whatever webinar provider you're using. Like if you're using GoToWebinar, you could just download the whole list of email addresses. Or if you're using something else, you could just download the actual list from your autoresponder from when people signed up for the webinar. And then you're going to strip out everything, their names and everything else, and just have that list of email addresses. Then you upload that to Facebook, create a custom audience. And by the way, below this video, I'll have a link to the full post on my blog where I go over all this in more details, have a couple links out on how to set all this up in Facebook. But to keep it simple, you get a list of all the email addresses of people that registered for your webinar, you create the custom audience in Facebook, then you create ads and run the ads to these people, reminding them of your webinar. And yes, I'm talking about running ads, so it is going to cost money to do this. It's not going to be free, but like I mentioned earlier, when you're advertising to your own custom audience, it's usually a lot cheaper than advertising to other groups or other targets. And of course, these are people that have already proven to be responsive to you because they already registered for your webinar. And I think the real power in this strategy, even though it's going to cost you a few bucks, is that you're actually hitting people multiple places, reminding them of your webinar, and hopefully getting that attendance rate up. Because I have a really good relationship with my audience and with my list members, but I'm still lucky if I get 50% of the people that register for my webinar to actually show up live on the webinar. So assuming you're selling something on your webinar, the more people that you can get to show up, obviously the better that you can actually do. So at a minimum, you're probably already sending out multiple email reminders, right? Reminding people of the webinar, hey, your webinar is coming up tomorrow, your webinar is coming up in an hour, your webinar is starting now. You may be doing text message reminders if that's something that your webinar provider offers. And then you're probably posting on your social media account saying, hey, I've got this webinar starting soon. If you want in, here's the registration page. So what you're doing with this strategy is just taking those best people, the people that have already registered, and hitting them again with a reminder, hopefully pumping them up when they're seeing this in multiple places in their email box, all over social media, maybe on their phone if you're doing the text message thing. You're hitting them multiple places, hopefully get them really excited and pumped up about your webinar. Then they're going to attend, you're going to deliver some real value, and then probably sell something, right, that can give them even more value for a price. So even if this method only increases your show up rate for your webinar a little bit, assuming you're doing well with conversions on your webinar, it should be more than worth the few bucks it'll cost in Facebook ads. But of course, I've never actually tried this method myself, so I can't say for sure. If you have tried it, I'd love for you to leave a comment. Let me know how it worked out for you. And once again, props to Nick for getting this on my radar. Check it out. Now my hat's backwards. Now my hat's sideways. Okay, that was just weird.